Hi, everybody. I'm Audrey Moore with Audrey Helps Actors, and this is episode number 38. Feeling great about your acting career. There's some moving and shaking happening up in this business, you guys. We've got writers are firing their agents. Upfronts are coming up at you. It's a busy, busy time. So I hope you guys had a fantastic week and you listened to Ashley's episode again. That's what I needed you to do, because today we have Ashley Platz returning. She has had such a fantastic year and a half since she was originally recorded her very first episode on this podcast, and I think you're going to be so inspired. She left and I was so inspired. I was like, oh my God, it works. We can really do it. This career is possible. What you focus on expands, which is just, so uplifting for a career that seems like you have no control. So I just wanted to do a few announcements about a couple of things. I'm going to do a SAG-AFTRA, shit you don't know about your union. We just got our commercial contract negotiation back. It is going live today, Monday. So go on the internet, check that shit out. Also, SAG sent out an email. They are now starting a direct deposit program. Direct deposit, woo woo. I also want to do a few shout outs to all of our reviews that have been going on the iTunes. Thank you guys for liking, subscribing, and leaving reviews. Every time that you leave a review, it's like snuggling with both of my puppies up for a nice, happy, long nap. When you're not even like that tired, and you just like got out of the shower, put some jammies on, got into bed, and then your dogs, they just like curl up with you and they're like, I just love you so much. That's how your iTunes reviews feel to me. So just, FYI. Okay, so shout out today. We've got Odysseus Persephone, Spot 784, Paige Baby, Devin in the NY Actor, Jacqueline New York, Nakama Bro, something like that. Ethnically Ambiguous Man, yeah you are, Spied 69. You guys, thanks so much for all your reviews. It just warms my little heart, and I love you, so thanks. All right. I keep asking you guys to post pictures with your towels, and nobody has posted a single picture with their towels. I handed out many a towel, and I have not gotten a single picture with your towel up on the gram since I requested it. So you post those pictures. Do it. This podcast is brought to you by weaudition.com. That's weaudition.com. Having more people going on and trying it and loving it and telling me how wonderful it is. So give it a shot. Also, Buckley, Sampson, the one, the only, the fantastic stylist. She has been crushing it. I mean, I can't tell you. People are sending me their shots that Buckley has styled. And I'm like, girl, you are crushing it. All right. Hope you're on your way to an audition. Book it. When you book it, you tag me. You say I was on my way to an audition and I booked it. Book it. Book it, 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 book it. Audrey helps actors because they don't know anything. Hi, everybody. I'm Audrey Moore with Audrey Helps Actors, and today we have
Ashley Platz.
Oh my God, Ashley. Hi.
Hi.
So we did the original episode with Ashley. Those of you who recall, I've gotten so many messages. I'm sure you have too. I got one this last week from an actress who was re-listening to your episode after a director had shot a film with her, and then after shooting asked her out. She politely said that was fine so long as it wasn't going to interfere with their professional relationship. And then it got like really cold with her and started being like really short. And she said, and I re-listened to Ashley's episode, and he wants to go to this film festival. He kind of fudged what the film festival really was, and he wants to share an Airbnb to save on money. No. And she was like, my guts are telling me no. And I was like, are they?
Yeah.
Oh, are they? And I told her, So I'm so glad we had that episode for
Pre-Me Too. Like,
yes.
What, 2 months before?
100%, right? And that we could share that because as you'll call in the episode, we did like I'm telling you about the independent film and your value and your worth. And then you left and you went to shoot it. And then
I was like, look at a great example of how shittily I'm
valuing yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And then you came back and we did like a revamp of like, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened. And yes, I absolutely can also. And I think that has been a really helpful and instrumental tool. I know another actress who went to this headshot session. It went really creepy. He was calling her a slut and telling her to like all this kind of crazy stuff. Yeah. And she wasn't sure if it was like to elicit some sort of emotional reaction. He was like, be naughty, give me like your naughty self. You know, she just called him out. And now that headshot photographer is, you know, saying like, I'll give you all of your session money back if you take the review down, because all these other women are coming forward and being like,
yeah, let me take that review down that clearly hit the nail on the head for everyone else.
Yeah, exactly. And I said, did you just email him back? #thumbs up. Time is fucking up with you. And I just love that a few years ago, women didn't have the feeling like we could have the courage and the backing to post something like that because everyone would go to defend the director, the photographer, or whatever, and like tell you that you're overreacting and tell you. And now women are really standing behind each other and saying like, that's not professional. You know, with the girl who was asked to go to this film festival and share an Airbnb, I said, first of all, the sign that he would then get butthurt about it is already not a great sign, because I can tell you any professional director that I have worked with that would say, I'd like to ask you out, would always preempt that with like, I know that I work with you, but like I waited until after it was done. And, you know, a professional relationship is a professional relationship, but I find
also
you really
like
engaging.
If you're interested, how would you like to proceed?
Well, that's right. I find you really engaging. If you'd like to go out on a date, I would be happy to take you out on one. And what I had said to her, and this is what I will say again for all the listeners, and you can speak to this for your own experiences, anyone who faults you for boundary setting is not somebody who's looking out for your best interest. Because I have this rule in acting class that is why, honestly, I never like dated a single person in acting class in LA. I mean, in LA. I didn't date anyone in New York, but I hooked up with a lot of people in New York. But in LA is because I had made this rule for myself in acting class that I wasn't going to go out on a date with anyone unless they asked me out. None of this, do you want to work on a scene? None of this, like any of that noise.
Yeah.
But like, if you want to date me.
It's from Closer.
Yeah.
Is that
right.
cool?
Exactly. We'll take off all of our clothes. Can we rehearse at your apartment?
Wait.
And is your boyfriend home? No? Great. Lots of men I legit would have dated had they just been like, Audrey,
would you
like to go
on a date with me?
Do you want to go out on a date? And like,
but no, people say like, hey, you want to like hang?
Yeah, you want to hang. They didn't even do that in acting class. They didn't even do that. It's just like, hey, like, exactly. You want to work on, BTW, nobody's ever asking me to work on Closer. They were like, do you want to work on the Philadelphia story? And I'd be like, sure. Okay, so it's been July 4th, we recorded the original, 2017. August 7th, we recorded the next one. And the reason I'm so excited about having you on is because OMFG, you guys, if Ashley isn't just the best example of I just listen to what Audrey says and then I go do it and then it works, then I don't know what is. I'm so proud of you. So excited. And especially just like after listening to I just re-listened to our original episode. Everything that I said in that episode, I was right. And
hey, you guys, did you know Audrey was right? I just want everyone to be aware of that.
Not always, you guys, but often right.
She's super geeked about telling me this right now.
I'm like super geeked about it. Because I had said to you a few things that I thought were really important, which was I had said, you're ready to compete on a guest star level. Like you're ready to be in the rooms and competing on the guest star series regular world. And I think at that time you had like one Criminal Minds co-star.
Yep.
Right? And I said, even when I say that to you, like, it doesn't seem like you believe that. And you were like, no, it's hard for me to really own that.
Yeah, I did not own that. And I think a lot of stuff that happened over the next year really helped me sort of sit into who I am and
Yes.
believe in myself more.
Yes.
Including a lot of the feedback that I got from actors from this podcast.
Oh, yay. That's so fantastic.
Yeah.
And I want to start with saying one really important thing in re-listening to it. It's such an interesting thing about the way that a person presents themselves and then how someone else will receive them. Because I think of the way that you presented yourself at that time, which had a lot of apology about the kind of actress you were, about the quality of actress that you were, the capabilities you felt you had or didn't have. And I didn't even register when you said to me last time that you went to Pace.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have to say, until today, I didn't realize you were conservatory trained.
Yeah.
I had no idea that you were like a conservatory trained actress. And like, why was that not a thing that I could hear, or I think other people even took seriously about you?
It's absolutely because I didn't
own it
for sure. I didn't walk in those shoes. I was just kind of like behind those shoes being like, yeah, I own those, but I wasn't wearing them. You know what I mean?
Totally. That's exactly right. And when I heard it, I was like, Ashley went to Pace? And I even Googled it. I was like, Pace is a BFA program, right? And I was like, tick, 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 tick. And
I
was
have
like,
a BFA in acting.
Yeah. With one of the best BFA programs in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Hello. Like, that's important information. And in fact, when an actor is presenting their resume, one of the first things I think people in general are looking for in terms of training is, have you been conservatory trained? Did you make it through that conservatory training? Because it is just hours wise, it puts you in a certain category because you are acting from 9 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock at night with like a break for lunch, a break for dinner, and you're off on Sundays. And just in terms of hours, that's going to put you in a certain league. Just the same as if you had been acting since you were 7, right? There's going to be like information that you're going to have, instrument that you're going to have because you have earned it just through hours at that time. And I have to say, I feel like so sad that I wasn't privy to that information. And it's one of the things I'm like really passionate about as a person. And part of why I do the podcast is I'm really such a fan of like exposing who we are and like our transparency and like our full whole story. And one of the reasons to get like really like deep really fast, you guys, is because I have been to so many funerals of so many contemporary people. And one of the saddest things to me is when I go to the funeral and then there's like something about them that they're like the people
some story
that talk,
that's being told, and you're like, I had no idea.
I had no idea that you were like weirdly into heavy metal, or something like that. And it's just like a color of them that I wish that I got to know a little bit more, because it just gave a rounder picture. And the more I know about you, honestly, the more opportunity there is for me to like love and appreciate the whole of you.
And on that note, since a lot about me has come out in the last year, that resonates because I feel like it wasn't until I owned all the truths about myself and wasn't afraid of them being found out or wasn't concerned with how they would be discovered that I really stepped into my own body and was able to have the career that I now have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's this interesting thing that Milton used to say of the work on the actor is the work on the self. And the further I go, the more I realize it's true. And the further I go, the more I realize that's true.
So I learned, I guess I want to say it was in like June of 2018.
So 1 year-ish after we had done the first podcast.
That CW was doing Batwoman. And I had been auditioning for CW shows, and like any of you who have looked me up or who know what I look like superhero is my pocket. So I was like all over this with my reps, and anything that came out, I was like stalking the internet for information. So my manager is a shark, and he was like, okay, I've harassed everyone in the office and they're giving you a self-tape. They were only handing out like 25 to 35 self-tapes because they had an offer out.
Yes.
And I was like, well, my self-tape's going to be the best, right? So I also did a bunch of research on how they cast the other CW shows and learned that almost every time the first person they saw, they went back to a month later and cast.
Oh, interesting.
So I was like, I'm going to make my tape the best and I'm going to get it in first.
Can we talk about that research though? Because that's some boss ass bitch research. And when you start wanting to have a career, when you stop apologizing and like taking like just the scraps that you can get, but it's a boss ass move to be like, you know what I want? I want to be the lead Batwoman and I'm going to do all the research I can. And I'm going to discover, oh, the first person they look at is the first person that they cast.
Like the kid who plays Flash, Grant, he was the first person they saw. Right. They went through hundreds of other people and they were like, no, we still love him.
Yes.
And went back to him.
Love it. Okay. So you did that.
So I did that, coached on it.
Great.
Put it on tape. Felt really comfortable in the role. Mm-hmm. And I should point out at this point that they were only seeing queer identifying females.
Great.
For the part. I have identified as bisexual since college. Mm-hmm. Maybe probably even younger than that, but I didn't use the word because when I was younger, there was a lot of like sexual promiscuity that was thrown on top of that that I didn't identify with.
Yes.
So I would always just say, I don't know, I could love a woman, I could love a man, I don't know.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until a few years ago that someone's 7-year-old told me about pansexuality. And I was like, oh, that's what I am. Thank you, 7-year-old. But
new generation.
Thanks, you guys. Thank you for helping the older generation. Like I'm so old.
All right.
But so I put myself on tape. I submitted it. And within like a week, I started getting crazy amounts of new social media following. Mm. And I was like, what's happening? Mm. And they were all these comments on my photos were of bat emojis. Mm. And I was like, this is weird. Mm. And I was like, why would anyone comment a bat on? And then I was like, oh my God. Mm. I think my audition got out. Yeah. So I scoured the internet. Yeah. Someone was like, look on Reddit. I was like, what's Reddit? And so then my friend looked on Reddit for me. And I was all up and down Twitter. And I found it on Twitter and it already had 30,000 views. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if a glitch in the system, but there were a couple of these tapes that were out.
It's not a glitch. Usually what happens is somebody leaked them.
But I saw about 6. Yep. And, you know, I had a good cry because I had decided that meant I was clearly out of the competition.
Oh, I see.
Because I can't be trusted through the internet waves to get something consistent. I don't know. You know, you beat yourself up.
Right, yeah.
I was like
an actress does.
This is my fault.
Anything good that happens to you immediately assume is actually bad and is coming back to hurt you. Right?
Totally.
Good.
So I looked at all of the 5 or 6 auditions that were out there and I was like, well, at least mine's the best out of the stuff that was leaked. And I'm just going to have a cry and let go of this part. Yeah. Except that a week later after that, the video now had like 60,000 views and there was a campaign to get me to be Batwoman. And I was like, what is happening? I was full blown freaking out. Yeah. And it hadn't even occurred to me that someone would put it together that I am queer as the actor.
Yes, right.
Until they announced that Ruby Rose would get the part, which is honestly great casting.
Great.
She's perfect for it.
Yeah.
And she comes with a built-in audience. So I completely understand why they had that offer out to her. She gets the part. She starts posting about it. And then all of a sudden, Twitter is like, no, you shouldn't be Batwoman. You're not gay enough. They were coming up with all these dumb reasons for why she shouldn't be.
Internet. I love the internet.
Oh, boy. Yeah. And I felt obligated to do something about it because my name was being thrown next to hers. And I tweeted something just saying, like, I love her. I wish her the best of luck. She's going to work her ass off on this project and like kind of like leave her alone, basically. Yeah. Then media started picking it up. And it was like BuzzFeed, Washington Post, all these like crazy outlets just saying like, explaining what was happening. And Ruby quit Twitter because she was being so bullied. Oh. And I was like, what is my life? Yeah. And then also so many people were sending me these articles and it says, lesbian actress.
Oh, gosh.
Ashley Platz. And I was like,
hey there.
That's about half correct.
Yeah, right. Half truth.
Also, holy shit.
Yeah, right.
My world just got blown open. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I was dating a woman who does identify as a lesbian. And she was like really there for me and like talked me through like, look, you can, she goes, you can either choose to play victim right now and like, granted, you were outed. Mm-hmm. She's like, you can choose to like feel like a victim and sit in this and be sad, or you can just pretend that you've always been out and that people were stupid.
Right.
and just own it. And I was like, I like that.
Yeah.
Let's do that. And
pretending.
She was like,
yes, and.
She was like, you can act.
Yeah,
like you
right. Act as if.
Right. So
Right.
The funny thing is, like, the 10 people who are closest to me all knew. My family all knew.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like a deal, but it was just interesting to see like ancillary people sort of have to have comments and whatever. But once I stepped into just being like, yeah, this is who I am. I fall in love with people based on who they are, not on their genitalia. That's just my thing.
Right. Yep.
Once I owned that, not only do I feel like moving through the world got easier, but all of a sudden my casting, like I was getting these auditions from nowhere. I'm sure a lot of it had to do with the press from Batwoman.
Yeah.
But also the casting was coming in so on point for me.
Yeah.
It was like my reps could see me now.
Yes.
The world could see me now.
Yes. In
a way that I was like, why didn't you guys submit me for these parts last year? Like,
well, it's so interesting because you say that and I feel like that's such an incredible example of exactly what I just said, of like when you let people see the whole of you, then your authenticity really does come through and people are looking to identify with each other. That's just actual human nature. And so if you're only giving out 70% of yourself, they can see that, they can smell that. And then somebody else who's giving out 100% of themselves is then giving more people more opportunity to identify with them. Mm-hmm. And I think that is what fanship is. That is what a following is people going, oh, I recognize that. Even if it's not themselves, my sister's like that. My mom is like that. I have a cousin like that. My best friend is like that. My friend from high school who got bullied a lot, like she's like that. And to see somebody owning the whole of who they are, I think brings a crowd naturally, organically, authentically, which is the way to do it anyway. And also, as you do that, I have found that then I get more courage to continue to bring more of myself. And when we're talking about writers, when we're talking about people pitching and submitting you, it's like, who are you? Mm-hmm. Who are you bringing? What are you bringing to the table? And it may or may not end up being right for the role, but I always say it's not just about how good you are, it's about how clear you are. Is your casting clear? Okay, so that was a long way to go around. You've had like a kick-ass year and a half.
I have had a kick-ass year and a half, yes.
Okay, I want to start a linear
timeline
for actors. So many of you come up to me. So many of you, are writing and doing these listener questions on the voicemails now, and you're just so frustrated. You're so frustrated, like Ashley was.
I've been there.
I've been there, which is why I do this, right? You're so frustrated.
This is the deal.
And I say to you, okay, you're really good and like you're ready to go. And it's almost harder to hear because if I'm like, yeah, you're ready to work, then you're like, well, then what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, and you can't make excuses anymore. You just have to do the work.
That's right. And I say, well, like, there's some work to do. Like I said to her, if you guys go listen to the episode, I say.
She was like, take down your shitty old reel.
Your shitty ass shit old reels. Stop taking shitty ass shitty independent films that'll never see the light of day and start putting your focus. And I said this to you very specifically. I said, Ashley, you have an ability to focus and create unlike anybody. I mean, there are few people that have the ability to do that like you do. You are stubborn, you are dogmatic, you are determined, you are strong. And when you put that dial in a particular direction, hell hath no fury, right? So I knew that about her. So I was like, well, what the fuck then?
Do the damn thing.
Do it.
And I was like, well, I think I know what I want to do, but I don't know how to do the thing I want to do.
And I was like, figure it out. Go do it.
And I think it was honestly, so that was August that we filmed the second one. And then I started writing myself action footage that month.
Because on that podcast, I had said to you, if you want to be doing action and you don't have action footage, what are we doing? That would be literally like me being like, I have 5 minutes of dramatic footage, but what I really want to do is multicam. You would be like, well, Audrey.
But nobody's going to see you that way.
What are you doing?
Because
why would they?
Yeah, exactly.
Because why would they? Right? Okay. So you went and did that, and you did a fantastic job.
Thank
put
you.
a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of money. Like I said, hell hath no fury.
And I want to talk about really quickly how I did that, because it kind of came to me. It was like Audrey and I are very big on loving to solve problems. It's very fun for us.
Die to solve a problem.
So the problem I was butting up against is the people that I was trying to hire were just charging me too much money, when I knew not only was I trying to learn how to do these stunts,
Yes.
but this was like a big learning experience for me in general to like create my own footage specifically for my reel. I've produced shorts in the past, web series, tons of stuff. That's a different beast. So I was like, how do it's smaller, but I don't quite know.
It's like a little more niche.
Yeah.
And also you're going to create a little bit larger piece than what you're actually probably going to end up needing, but knowing that you need to do all of that, right?
So I have a friend who is a stunt woman who wants to get into acting. I want to do stunts and I'm acting. I also have a friend who I did this short film with American Muscle. I shot it between our 2 episodes.
Oh, yes.
Or right after. I can't remember.
Right, I remember that.
He wanted to learn how to direct action, and his camera guy wanted to learn how to shoot it. So we all just got together, pooled our resources, and sure, I spent like a couple grand.
Yeah.
But not nearly as much as I thought I would.
Okay, but let's talk about that couple grand, because I'm such a fan of investing in your own career. And one of the discussions we had in our last episode was about using your time, energy, and money wisely to invest in the direction in which you should be best investing it. Now, if you're going to go do some independent film that's going to pay you $125 a day, in your mind, you think you're making money as an actor. But what you're doing is maybe taking away from the time you could be earning more money doing something else that's not acting. And then you may or may not, likely not, see the footage of that independent film ever. It may or may not, often not, be usable footage. And likely it's not going to be footage, even if it's usable, that's really in your best wheelhouse often, okay? Or you can say no to that independent film, which is going to be hard because it feels internally like you're not working. So there's an ego thing happening.
Totally.
The ego thing is like, but then I get to say to people, I just booked a movie. Versus,
which makes you feel validated, especially as an actor when you're talking to your parents and you're like, I haven't booked anything. I don't know
or
what's
your
happening.
friends, and everybody's judging, everybody's competitive. And that's part of what we're trying to fix here is like camaraderie over competition, right? And so then instead you say no and you hold strong. And I'm going to go make more money and put in a bunch of hours to make more money in this other thing that I do, which for you is yoga. And I'm going to then invest that money and time and energy into a reel, which will end up costing me a couple $1,000s. Now, I would wager for the time that you're going to be gone, making $125 a day, plus losing to taxes, plus paying out to your manager, plus paying out to your agent, that you are actually spending less money on the reel than you are on actually doing that film.
I also learned how a stunt coordinator and stunt choreographer, like how all of that works because we were friends and we got to stop and break it down and they worked with me.
Because it's really hard,
we
you guys.
had time.
Yes, I want you to know that thing, like filming stunts, I tell people like, because Jesse's has done it, it's hard.
It's very hard.
It's very hard. You're doing a choreographed dance, but you don't just have 2 dancers. You have a lot of moving parts. You have usually props. The camera is another person that's dancing with you. So it's a whole thing. So you spent a couple grand. But actually, let me ask you a question. After you spent that couple grand, a month after, how many television jobs did you book in the year and a half to follow?
4?
More than 4. You're a silly girl.
Well, I booked one right before I did it, which I love because I feel like since I decided I was making stuff for TV jobs, a TV job showed up before I'd even made it.
That's exactly right. Which is what I tell you guys happens. You don't believe me. Is like when you change your focus, then opportunities in the direction that you want to appear just show up. They just do. I don't know what it is. It's magical juju, but it just happens. Okay.
So it was September 2017 that I wrote it.
Yes.
I started putting it together all through October, November, December, raising the money to like make it happen. We shot it in January. However, December, a month before we shot it, I booked Hawaii Five-0.
Which happens all the time when you start putting your energy in a direction that sort of calms your weirdo neuroses down, but also feels empowering, feels productive. And I'm not talking about those of you guys who are throwing a tangent. She wasn't like, man, I'm throwing a tangent. I'm going to go like blow my money to like make something that will also not come out and won't see the light of day. She was being very specific, taking her time to do it correctly. I can't tell you guys how many of you are impatient, and I need you to stop being impatient, grow up. I say go low and go slow, because when you do it correctly, when you take the time to go slow and do it correctly, the results are almost always better. Okay? So you did that. Meanwhile, did you feel a sense of empowerment, a sense of enthusiasm as you're creating it? What
Absolutely.
was that?
I mean,
right. And then when you get this audition for Hawaii Five-0, I mean, first of all, did you audition? Because I know you have friends on the show.
I do have friends on the show. I had auditioned the year before, booked it, and then they cut my scene.
Love it.
So they felt awful.
Bad. Right.
And so I had auditioned twice for that season. Timing-wise, I was just like ready to hear and receive that I belonged on television.
That's right. And because
So
you
it
were
happened.
working properly also to create that. And then when you got this audition, let me ask you, did you make television money or did you make independent film money?
I made some television money. I just cashed a residual check yesterday.
Hell effing yeah. Now, this television money, did you get paid for one day that you shot, or did you get paid for the travel the whole week that you were there and
I was
coming back?
flown to Hawaii. They also helped me extend my trip because I stayed a couple extra days.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. They were rad.
So, was this a union job?
Yeah.
Oh my God. So let me ask you, was the cost of this filming of this fight footage more or less than the amount of money you earned doing one episode of Hawaii Five-0?
Less.
Significantly less?
Significantly less.
Well, that is just
Isn't that amazing?
so amazing. And maybe is exactly what I say all the time on this podcast to you guys. Remember that if you do 12 workshops, right, in a year, which you should be doing more. If you're doing 12 workshops in a year and each workshop costs you, this is way more than workshops cost you, but let's say it's $100 a workshop, $1,200. If you booked one co-star, one singular co-star on network television, you will get paid $1,100 for the day. Then you're going to have to tip out your agent, tip out your manager, tip out the government, and then you will get a residual check. And in one job, you will have a return on your investment that far exceeds whatever the original investment was.
Plus footage.
Plus footage.
Plus the credit.
Plus the credit. That's what I mean.
Plus the relationship with the
The
casting
whole
director.
return on the investment. It's not
Crazy.
just financial. The whole, but you guys are like, well, it's just workshop. Like, I don't want to. Or you're like, no, it's a real. Like, I don't. But wait, Ashley, wait. You're so cool, but I have to interrupt you.
Help me. I need some help.
And now it's time for listener questions.
I'm so scared.
This listener question is brought to you by WeAudition.com. WeAudition.com. Okay, we're going to do something in May. We're doing something in May. It's going to be really exciting. Okay, here's what we're doing. We're doing Self-Tape May, you guys. Self-Tape May. Monday through Thursday, all of May. That's Monday through Thursday, all of May. You got to post your self-tapes. Do not post something that hasn't aired yet. Listen to me. Listen to the words out of my mouth. You're only going to post things that have already aired. What I want you to do is Monday through Thursday for all of May, I want you to post one self-tape practice a day. I'm going to join you. Self-Tape May starts the first Monday of May, and we're going to get to it because fall episodic starts in June, July, and you need to get into shape. It's like, this is the off season, and I need you working out in the off season because it's about to get real, and I need you learning those sides, and I need you practicing story and understanding tone and genre, and that's what we're going to do. So join me. If you participate, you need to do the hashtag self-tape May. Hashtag self-tape May. And then I'm going to just see who's doing the most self-tapes in May. And then we are going to randomly pick somebody and we are going to give them a towel. Is that what we decided? I've got a couple towels left, so, we're going to send you a towel. What? Oh, yeah, I'll sign it. I'll sign that shit. I'll be like, yeah, you take your career seriously. I'm signing it. You're going to book those shows and fall episodics. So join me if you're worried about time, having a reader. Well, wouldn't you know, that's exactly what you can do on We Audition, weaudition.com. There are tons of readers on there. Some of them are free. Some of them are charging you. It's all super affordable. You get 25% off your subscription at Audrey25, promo code Audrey25. I really encourage you to go on and be a reader for somebody. There is a button where you can actually do this self-tape from weaudition.com. I got emails from people today who said they had auditions. They wanted to practice before the audition. They went on weaudition.com. They found a reader and they just practiced with a few people, reading out loud, trying different options with different people so that different readers didn't throw them off. And they had a lot of success. So let's do it. Self-tape bay. Whoop, whoop. Okay, so Jessie, we have this listener question.
Hey, Audrey. It's Ashley Platz. This is so fun for me to call your voice message here. I have an actor that I'm mentoring who listened to Juan's episode, and he asked me, Audrey said most actors don't know story. How do they know story? How do we learn story? And I had a few suggestions, but I said, you really should just call her line and ask her. And he got too nervous, so I'm doing it for him because I think it's valuable. Love you, Mama.
Okay, I love this question, Ashley and Ashley's anonymous friend. Here's why I love this question. I wish, you guys, that I could teach you story over a podcast. It's really, really hard to do. The only reason I understand story is because I live with a writer and director, and that's just the truth of it. And the number of times that I've been like, but blah, 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 it says she cries here. And Jessie's been like, no, it's not about the fact that she cries. It's about the fact that she has to be devastated because the leads need to be really upset about the criminal. So they have to have drive to go get them. And the more upset you are, the more they want to go get them. And the more the audience roots for them to get the criminal. And I'm like, oh shit. Mind blown. And so it's these sort of story arc consequences that are a real deal. And wouldn't you know it, you guys, writing is a craft. It's a real craft that people spend a lot of money going and perfecting, and they hone their craft just like an actor does. And just like there are things that actors do to be facile, to be really good at their craft, that is also true for writers, and that's also true for directors. So when you're getting a script, every single line that has been written, hopefully, has been written with a purpose. Because the fact is if they didn't need that line, they wouldn't have it there. So every relationship is purposeful. Every event is purposeful. So, if you are auditioning for a character and your character happens to be pregnant and that doesn't seem to have anything to do with what's happening, I can guarantee you that's a choice that was made to help tell this story. And your job is to figure out, okay, well, what changes in the story if this character is pregnant versus if this character is not pregnant? It's those sorts of things so you understand what you're being asked to bring to the table. But I'm going to go ahead and pass this off to the storyteller in my life, and he's going to talk a little bit about story. Jessie, it's all you, boo.
The first thing to know is that the story that you're trying to figure out often isn't your story. So, each movie, each TV show, whatever it is that you're going out for, it's often about the main character or a few main characters, and it's really their story. And you are just there to help or hurt them along the way, essentially.
So, this can be really challenging for those of us who have been raised in theater and conservatory programs because, even in scene study classes like that, you're the lead. Like, you're not working on the co-star. You're mostly working on being the lead and making strong choices as the lead. So one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they start auditioning professionally is that they really make the scene about them. And the scene is not, in fact, about you. The scene is about how you affect the main character. So a really good example of this is like medical shows, right? In medical shows, there's almost always like a mirroring of what's going on between you, the patient, and your spouse, and what's going on between the doctor and another doctor or their spouse. And so they are tying in how your story affects their growth and understanding. Because at the end of the day, it's that relationship, moral of the story, that's affecting the lead cast. And they are, in fact, the people everyone's coming to watch.
Indeed.
Great.
Well said.
Thanks.
And the next thing that I would say to look out for is conflict. Most stories revolve around conflict. Most scenes revolve around conflict. So if a character wants to leave, your job is, you want to make them stay. Mm-hmm. So there's conflict there. One person wants to leave. One person wants them to stay. Somebody has to win. That's conflict.
Yeah, this is a real trap that I find myself in a lot because I, Audrey, don't like conflict. And most of us, we don't like super love conflict. There are some of you guys, I'm talking to some of you New Yorkers out there who like love conflict. You just want to like fight about things all the time. I'm not that way. I'm super waspy, and I always like to just like, we're not going to worry about the conflict so much. It's not a big deal. And so, that's something that on my checklist, my actor checklist, I have to be conscious of. And it is, in fact, one of the things on my actor checklist of like, what is the conflict? Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you play the conflict, because your character may be the kind of character that doesn't play into the conflict. They, play away from the conflict. They are like me, super waspy, and want to be non-confrontational, but there's still a conflict that is happening within the scene that you need to know that you're acknowledging. And this really goes into, a lot of times actors will make the scene about something that's happening outside of the scene. So usually when you're auditioning, it's a scene between you and one other character. So it can be a habit that actors make where they make it about the outside circumstance instead of, the scene is always about what's happening between you and the person you're in the scene with.
Often when you're going in for a TV show or even a movie, you'll want to look back at what has been done previously. So if you are going out for season 16 of NCIS, episode 4, you can look back at season 15 or 14 of NCIS, and often it will be around episode 4 where they'll have exactly the same storyline. It'll just be, instead of a dock worker, it's like a teachers union or something like that. And they'll have a character just like yours who is doing something very similar to what you're doing. And so you can go and watch, what is this scene about in the last one? And how did they do it? And how did they like doing it on this show? And if you're going out for a film by David Fincher, you'll want to go back and watch a couple David Fincher films and see, what is the world that he creates and where do I fit into that world?
Yeah, we sort of came to that discovery accidentally because I was working on a scene from some procedural audition, and I decided to watch the previous season, and I think I just decided to choose the same episode number from the previous season. And wouldn't you know it, was like the exact same story. Instead of like getting trapped under a car, I was like trapped under a building. But just completely story arc, characters, all of it exactly the same. And that just gave me a good understanding of what it is they're really looking for. Some shows, they really want the actors to be bawling their eyes out and really dramatic, and some, that's really not the point of the 1 hour drama maybe. In some comedies, there's maybe a throwing away of the comedy, and some it's much more heavy-handed, and you can have an understanding based on what the actor from the last season did that was helpful in helping them book the job, and you can sort of take inspiration from that and make choices that are a little bit more informed. I mean, that's really no different than if you were an athlete, you would watch the games of the previous season and you'd watch other athletes that you are going up against for a future whatever athleticism event you're doing. And you would just, learn and collect data and compare. So great note, honey.
Yeah, good stuff.
Okay, great. What else?
So there's lots of great resources to continue learning about story. There's a ton of YouTube series on it. Lessons from a Screenplay is a great one. There's a ton of great podcasts about it. Script Notes is a great one. And there's also a ton of books. I would say the most accessible book is called Save the Cat by Blake Snyder. It's not the most revered book in the screenwriting community.
But great for actors.
But also, I think great for writers. Listen, it's written in a way that everybody can understand. All of the books say the same goddamn thing, and he's just bringing it down to real basics and real easy to understand, and it's more fun to read. So
yeah, and let me just talk to you why that's important. It's because, when I'm looking at a script and I get an audition, and my audition is a, say, 1 hour drama episodic, if my audition scenes are page 1 through 3, page 17, and page 46, well, I know enough about story structure that I know what is happening in the story from one scene to the next scene to the next scene. And so that really helps me differentiate between how I play scene 1 versus how I play scene 2 versus how I play scene 3. And it started happening earlier on in my relationship with the great Jesse Lumen, in that I would have a script I was reading and I would say to him, gosh, the script is really good, but it's nothing really happens until page 17. And then in page 17, shit goes down. And he goes, right on time. And I was like, what do you mean right on time? And he's like, yeah, no, that's the inciting incident is always on page 17 when you're writing a feature film. And I was like, oh, fascinating. And that's just sort of stuff that I wish they had taught us in drama school. So just some things to know. I can only tell you it's really helpful. The coach that I work with on acting is also a writer. And I think that's part of why we're such a successful team, is because we're really looking at what are the writer's intentions? What do the showrunners need out of this scene from the actor? And then from that, fulfilling my version of it. So I hope that was helpful. All right, you guys, good luck. Learn that story.
Yay. Don't forget your towel.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
Okay, So we do our episode. Shit hits the fan. You come back. I'm like, television, Ashley, fight scenes. You're like, yes, Audrey, fight scenes. And you're like, okay, I'm going to go do a fight scene. And then you're getting ready for a fight scene. Boom, you book for Hawaii Five-0. Then you come back from Hawaii Five-0, new year, new you. You do this fight scene. Comes out great.
Amazing.
You edit it so it's, so she can have her part that shows her more, and you have your part so you can have your part that shows you more. Then you get that footage, and then how long until you book your next job?
Well, a month later, I book a independent web series that I turned down.
Oh my God. And why did you turn that down?
Because you were in my head saying, no, girl.
No, girl.
You're better than this.
Yes.
Say no.
Say no.
And I said no.
Great.
And it was weirdly liberating. I was like, this is going to suck, but I'm going to say no. And I said no. And I think I texted you and I was like, I said no to a thing. I turned down a thing.
And I was like, yeah, you did. And not because I don't want some of you doing those things, but because I didn't want Ashley doing those things.
Yes.
Because
Ashley really is comfortable doing those things.
Well, a lot of you are. A lot of you are. And I said, for you, I don't want you doing those things because I think that your capabilities, you're ready to be on a higher level, which, as you will see through this timeline, I was right. Okay, so you said no.
A month after that,
okay,
I booked Ernesto's Manifesto, which is a feature film.
Right.
I had a really fun part in that.
Great.
And that's March, April that was being shot.
Great.
The Batwoman thing happened June, July, August.
So 1 year after recording our first thing, you get the Batwoman thing goes viral.
Batwoman thing goes viral.
Great.
And then right around my birthday, end of August, I booked 911.
Great. So
it was my first audition after the Batwoman thing went viral.
1 year after having met and discussed going into television, she has now booked Hawaii Five-0. She has put together her fight reel. She has an audition that goes viral. She books another co-star on 911, which is actually, I watched it. It was a really great part for
It's
her.
a Ryan Murphy show.
Yeah,
which is
Ryan
super
Murphy.
fun.
And the part was really great.
It was
I thought
perfect.
It was super fun.
Yeah.
And so that's 1 year later. Then what happens?
Then every audition after that was so in the pocket for me. And it just became, I started loving this all, like doing this all
whole
over
thing.
again. I was like, all of this is perfect for me.
Right.
All of this fits.
Yeah.
So that aired around
911.
mid-October.
Okay.
911 aired around mid-October. At the end of October, I booked 2 TV jobs in the same day.
What?
One was this weird backwards favor. Someone had seen my viral audition.
Right.
They had all this weird empathy for me. I was like, I don't know why you have empathy for me. This is amazing. And I had a small non-speaking role on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. You
Great.
can't even see me. So she was like, I really just want to give you this so you can meet everybody.
Great.
Rad.
Rad.
$1,000.
Yes. Plus
And-
residuals.
Plus residuals, yes.
Yes.
Um,
Which BTW, thank you, union, because if you were in another country, you wouldn't get those.
Very true.
Not any other country. Most other countries, you wouldn't get that.
And the same day, I booked a top of show guest star on Grey's Anatomy.
Now, tell them the fucking Grey's Anatomy story.
Okay, so the Grey's Anatomy story is bonkers. So this is how you admin yourself. I went to a Women in Television, Women in Film, Women in Television Summit that summer. So a couple months before this. And I watched a bunch of women speak, and it was really inspiring. And I honed in on this one woman who happens to be the new showrunner for Grey's Anatomy. And I was like, she is badass. She's a boss. I want to learn to write from her because I'm also a writer. She had mentioned offhand doing some workshop of her own
Yes.
in upstate New York outside of Woodstock.
Yes.
I was like, screw it. I'm going to go. So I went. I sat in a tiny room with her and like 12 other people for a long weekend.
Now, such a great question. Did it cost you money to go to
It
the
did cost me
summit?
money to go to the summit.
Now, when you booked this job for Grey's Anatomy, did you make more
So
money?
much more money.
Wait, hold on. Let me ask the question so they can all get the lesson. Did you make more money on that Grey's Anatomy episode or less money than you had spent on this trip for the weekend?
The money to go to the summit where I discovered her, plus the flight home, plus the actual weekend,
Yes.
was probably an eighth of what I made on Grey's Anatomy.
So to all of you who use money as an excuse not to procure your career, I just want you to know that you are actually costing yourself money. You're actually costing yourself money when you don't invest in your career correctly and intelligently. And this is also a great example of alignment because you had somebody whose work you authentically appreciated.
Yes.
You authentically wanted to learn from. You saw an opportunity to go be in the same room with this person and work with this person. You seized hold of that opportunity. You took it. You didn't let money get in the way. You went, you did it. And then,
So that was in July 2018.
yes,
Cut to October.
yes,
So I learned that the next season of Grey's Anatomy is casting.
right,
And my rep is telling me he's just having a hard time getting me in the room.
right.
I'm like, well, of course, because Linda Lowy, who is their casting director, once she finds people she likes, she keeps them.
She used that.
And I was
Yeah.
like, I got to get in that circle. How do I get in
Absolutely.
that circle? And my roommate suggested, didn't you do a workshop this summer with the showrunner? Why don't you email her? And I was like, I can't
Right.
ask her for that. She's like, I'm not saying ask for an audition, ask for her advice.
Yeah.
So I email her. I update her on, I had a screenplay that was in a competition that was doing really well.
Yeah.
I talked about some stuff we talked about during the summit weekend in upstate New York.
Mhm.
And I said, by the way, I've been in LA X amount of years. I've never been in for Linda. Do you have any suggestions?
Right.
Didn't hear back from her.
Right.
5 days later, audition for a co-star. Grey's Anatomy shows up. And I'm like, holy
F-balls.
shit.
Okay, can we pause? I have so many of you guys who are actually really well connected. Like, I mean, you guys are crazy connected. And I say to you, well, did you call so-and-so and ask them if they could help you out? And they're like, oh no, like I would never do that. And I say, okay, now if you were this person And the you that is you right now comes up to the imaginary you who has the power and says, hey, if at all possible, would you help a girl out? Would you help a girl out? And they're always like, yeah. I'm like, well, exactly right.
So I go in and do the co-star. Before I get home from that audition, the casting office had called my reps and said, we want to bring her back tomorrow for the guest star.
Boom.
She was so good.
Boom. Which, wait, who told you on a podcast that you had been on like a year before?
Oh, wait, I know this.
That you were ready to be competing at guest star level?
Audrey
Oh
Moore.
my God, was that me? Oh my God.
Then I go back the next day. And now Linda Lowy is in the audition with me.
Mm-hmm.
I booked that job, and I found out actually on set while shooting from one of the writers that I was in the top 3 for both roles.
Oh, I see.
And they just gave me the larger part because they loved me for both roles. And they were like, well, let's just give her the bigger part.
So there's so many things that you have done here that I really want to talk about so that they can understand. So a lot of you, I want to be very clear. Hawaii Five-0, Ashley has connections in Hawaii Five-0. Yeah. So go get connections in Hawaii Five-0. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I remember somebody used to say to Milton, I hear it's not about what you know, but who you know. And he said, yeah, so go know people.
Go know people.
And it's part of why it's not just properly working and relationships. It's properly working and relationships over time. Because even if you have those relationships, you still have to be right for the part. As you said,
Yes.
you had been cast in something and then they cut you.
Yep.
That sucked. Then you were up against it again and then they cast somebody else who also had connections to the show and that person was just better suited for that role. And so then you get to Grey's Anatomy and you have built connections, but you haven't built them, out of a house of cards. You've built them with integrity. You've built them with an honest intention and point of view. And that always shows that people are always interested in working with people of a like mind who are passionate about the same sorts of things they're passionate about.
And we forget that like my showing up, my asking the showrunner just for the intro,
Yes.
that helps casting. Like
It so
I
does.
solved
Right.
problems
That's
by
right.
showing up and being good enough.
And not only that, but you've done your work already. You spent years in a conservatory. Then you spent years studying here in Los Angeles. Then you have done a lot of emotional and personal work on the self. You continue to research. You continue to work really intelligently so that when the opportunity arises, you can rise to the opportunity. And it's not something that happens quick. I mean, look at the reel that you had a year and a half ago versus the reel that you've got now. That's
pretty badass.
crazy.
Yeah.
And what I so want you on here is because I get so many people who talk to me and so many of the listeners, I know that it feels miles away. And when I had you here, when I had you sitting here the first time, this reality, if I had told you, listen, in a year and a half, let me tell you what's going to happen. You're going to have multiple television credits. You're going to beat out people for roles that if it were a resume alone, you had no right beating them out. But you did. Not because you're a shyster, not because you're an asshole, not because of dumb luck, but because you're very good. You've put in the time to be very good. You're getting better. You work your ass off to do what you need to do to work. And now you're working your ass off to work at the caliber in which you now see you are and have always been really capable of doing. Right?
Totally.
Okay. So now that you've had this amazing journey, right?
Well, there's one more booking after
Oh my
that.
God. Yeah, she had another booking. Okay. So tell him. Okay. So you
So-
booked Grey's.
Booked Grey's, shot Grey's the beginning of November.
Great.
And then I booked Glow
Yes.
in December,
Yes. Which was a guest star, right?
which was a guest star.
That's right.
Yeah.
Shout out to the girls on Glow. Hey, girls, I love
Hey,
you.
Girls on Glow. Love Girls on Glow.
And I was so crazy because I remember the first recording that we had, you were like, I mean, I could be athletic and still have my body type. Just look at the girls on Glow.
Yeah.
And you're like, any
I'm not a
mildly
wrestler,
and
but
no, but it doesn't matter. But you're on it. And I said, anything mildly interesting that you want to shout out? And you were like, if you're not watching it,
yeah.
watch Glow.
There's something, I mean, I'm sure this you can speak to this too. Like being on shows that you've not really seen is really fun because you get to learn the storylines. But being on a show that you are watching is like next level little kid geeking out. I was losing my shit on that set.
I find also
so
the
much fun.
audition is for me a lot easier because I'm really familiar with the tone. Like that's why I book
Agreed.
Geico commercials over and over again because I'm like, I know what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Just be really weird.
Yep.
And then I do, you know?
Yeah.
So I have friends who've like booked 6 McDonald's commercials. They just like know what
Yeah,
that is.
they get it.
And they just like do that again and again and again. I have it written down here. Glow, Grace, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Hawaii Five-0, 911, plus a couple films, right? I mean, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 TV shows.
2 features. I lied.
And 2 features in the year and a half since we did this podcast.
Plus some badass action footage.
Which
is funny because like this is what I want to call out to the most is I wanted that footage not only to show casting that I could do this thing, but to prove to myself that I could do this thing. And I have that footage and none of these roles have me kicking ass. None of the roles that I've booked in the last year have me kicking ass, but I decided that I was going to be kicking ass and I'm financially kicking ass.
Yes,
I'm like, I'm booking kicking ass.
That's right.
So it's like the role hasn't caught up to
That's often the way.
there yet, but
Yeah, Amy Linden and I talk about that it's always in this weird opposite direction. It's like you think what you start getting ready and you're going to do the work and you start doing the work in A and it's C that comes along.
But it's the work begets work, right?
It does
You're putting all that energy into that reel,
But
show
I
the
would
universe.
say-
I'm like, I'm ready for this shit.
Yes, work begets work, but I also want to say something important about that is it wasn't just work, it was inspired action. And in my
Clear,
experience, inspired action begets inspired results. Because a lot of you are like, well, I'm just going to like go do this. I mean, I can't tell you the number of you guys who keep getting headshots that look exactly like your old headshots. You're like, I just got new headshots. And I'm like, why? And they're like, well, my agent wanted, they said maybe I need new headshots. I'm like, they look exactly like your old headshots. I don't know why. And it's just because it's an action that feels
It makes you feel like you're doing something.
It
It's
makes
like every
you feel
time
active. When it's slow, everyone wants
all
to
of
get
my
new headshots.
female actor friends, they're every time something's not happening, they're like, let's cut my hair, let's dye my hair, let's change my hair. And I'm like, that's not the thing.
Right. Unless it is. But
Yeah.
if it is, then it should be specific, targeted investigation. One of the things that I love when people do this, I'm going to give this to you guys, okay? So as you know, Ashley dyed her hair and went darker to sort of match her casting, though she's a natural blonde. She
And this
dyed
is
her hair
my
brown.
voice.
Right, and that's her voice. Yeah, it's real. And so my favorite thing, as you guys know, I'm such a big fan of exploration of wigs. And one of the things that I have seen actors do by my recommendation that I think is so cool when you see it is go get 4 different wigs, cheap ones, like $30 wigs. Go to the wig shop, get 3 or 4 different looks. Then take 5 to 8 roles that you think you're right for. Doesn't have to be long, minute, 2 minutes max. Take role number 1, do it in your own look, and then do it over again in each different wig. Then do the same with role number 2, and so on and so on. And then when you're watching with somebody, because sometimes I don't trust you guys, so show the footage to somebody that's not you, maybe, depending on whether or not you're trustworthy. If you're like, am I trustworthy? Then no. But if you're like, I know my work, I know my casting, then I trust you. If you have to ask, the answer is get help. Take all of that, and then all you literally do is check mark each role and look, well, which look gives you the most specific casting for the best opportunities? And you'll get your numbers. And what you can see is like somebody who had like long blonde hair actually looks really good, and their casting seems to make the most sense with like short red hair. But only through doing the wigs and really testing it. Test it. Try it out. Do your research. Get actual data. Don't just be like, I think I'm going to be a redhead now. And then
Also,
you spend
self-tape practice. Good for you.
BTW, right? And then you spent 2 years as a redhead when it wasn't really ever going to work for your casting, but you're just throwing a tantrum because you're a little bit bored and frustrated. Well, then you're just spending more time being bored and frustrated, but now as a redhead. So do active work. I so recommend it. But wait, Ashley, wait. You're so cool, but I have to interrupt you.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled program to bring you shit you didn't know about your union.
This shit you don't know about your union is brought to you by Buckley Sampson, Stylist extraordinaire. Buckley is so fantastic. She is a headshot stylist. She does other kinds of styling here in Los Angeles. She is extremely proficient at making sure that the casting that you're trying to tell comes across in a headshot. You know, a headshot is a really fine and particular art. You have to sell the casting basically from like the chest up. And then when you crop that into a thumbnail on the little itty bitty shitty square that they give you on Actors Access, it's even smaller. So making sure that the hair, the jewelry, the jacket, the shirt, the makeup, the no makeup, all is working together to tell the story of the casting that you are really trying to nail. She's been doing some phenomenal work. She just gets better and better and better and better. And I've seen her work on actors of all types of casting, and I'm just continually floored by the clarity, the specificity, and I just couldn't recommend her highly enough. Image by Buckley, and that's what I say. Love you, girl. You're the best. Okay, so this shit you don't know about your union, we've got a bunch of announcements. Okay, the first thing is, if you are a person who wants to do commercials, has done commercials, or is doing commercials, we just renegotiated a contract and it went through with a 100% approval by the board. So now the members vote on it. Listen, you guys, I need you to vote on it. We are going to be doing an episode next week. I'm going to have a person who was in the negotiations come on and explain the new contract to you. It's completely different than what we've ever done. So if you're like, I don't need to listen to this, I want you to know we've kind of completely changed the payout structure for commercials. So better learn about it. But I want you guys to attend the meeting. So in Los Angeles, I know there is a meeting April 24th and the 26th. April 24th and the 26th to answer all of your questions and get as much details as you want. If you are in other cities, please check your events in your SAG-AFTRA app or call the union and find out where it will be in your area. There is going to be meetings in Atlanta, I believe, in Chicago, in New York, and in Los Angeles. So go find out about it. An informed actor is a working actor. I have also just a little recommendation for you for commercial actors out there. You guys know about iSpot, iSpot.tv. So what happens is a lot of you guys get really excited. You book a commercial, you see it on iSpot, and then you tag yourself in it. I just want you to know you never want to tag yourself in those spots. What happens is when you tag yourself, competitive advertisers are going to go and search you on iSpot. And if you've done a Burger King commercial, McDonald's doesn't want to hire you. It doesn't matter that it was X amount of years ago. They don't want to hire you. That's also true for your social media. So if you have a public Instagram account and you have been in a McDonald's commercial recently, well, if you're pinned or you're on a veil for a Burger King commercial, you better believe that they're going to go and check out your Instagram, because if, a year ago you have a McDonald's commercial that blew up and you're like, look at my McDonald's commercial. It's everywhere. Here I am. My aunt found it and she sent me this video. Here I am. I'm on my own computer while I'm on Facebook. That's not helpful to you. And we are getting feedback from casting directors that clients definitely are trolling your social media to look for competitive advertising. So FYI to you on that, don't do it. All right, you guys, next week, we're going to talk commercial contracts. It's going to be very exciting. I hear we've completely revolutionized the way that we're paying out commercials. So that's really exciting. I can't wait to learn about it. I really don't know anything about it. I'm going to find out tomorrow. All right. I love you.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
Okay. So now here we are with all these bookings behind you a year and a half later. What do you want to tell people about the journey you've had, what you've learned in this stretch, and wisdom and actions that you want to communicate to actors who are in a frustrated place?
I feel like for me, and or at least what I've seen has helped me the most is always going back to the one thing that I want the most. For example, my roommate is also an actor, and she called me and was talking about, hey, I think I want to do this commercial workshop with this coach. What do you think? And I was like, oh, are you shifting your focus to only booking commercials? And she was like, no, I want to do TV. And I was like, then you're going to waste money.
And time.
And time.
And energy. I
And
want
energy.
to really, all three of them are important.
And
Right?
and you know, if you want to throw away your money kind of arbitrarily in this industry, you really can. But
there are
for
plenty
me,
of people to take your money.
Yeah, for me, I was like anything that said television or television casting in it lit my eye up, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna focus there. This Women in Film Television Female Summit, I was like all over it.
Yes.
And there was no way for me to book any jobs from that. It was literally just go listen to women lecture about it. But to me, everything that came across my email that said television,
Right.
television casting, television writers, television producers, television, I just wanted to be around that world because that's where I want to see myself.
Which every business book, by the way, that you read, that's like step number one.
Step one.
You're not going to read a business book that's going to be like, if you really want to be going into real estate, please spend a lot of time researching restaurants. Like, no.
Unless you're doing restaurant real estate.
If you're trying to sell houses, don't spend a lot of time looking at restaurant real estate. That
It's
would just
useless
not
energy.
make sense.
Yeah.
It wouldn't make sense. But yet, as actors, that's what we do.
We leak.
Yeah,
And I
leaking.
find that like I used to be the queen of leaking because I didn't know I wouldn't let myself pick one thing because it felt like, well, if I only focus on one thing, I'm not going to get any of the other things. If I only focus on TV, no commercials are going to come to me. No movies are going to come to me.
Yeah.
And obviously that's not
been
my
true.
truth at all.
Right.
I solely focused on TV. Everything I was doing was for TV, was specifically for really like 4 TV shows.
Yes.
One of which I booked.
Yes.
Which is exactly the message, right? So
Correct.
like it took a year and a half from getting the ideas and the feedback, targeting myself 100% on television. I literally would I make notes when I'm doing my admin work of like what I did and what I want to do. And I'd be like, why am I reading this play? I don't need to read that play.
Yes.
That's not like I'm going to put a series in there
Yes.
instead. Granted, I love reading plays.
I love reading plays.
And I've auditioned for plays, and sometimes I'm like, why am I auditioning for this play?
Yeah.
And I'll look and I'll see, oh, this person who's directing it has directed TV in the past. Great, I will go to that audition. But I'm
right.
not going to go if these people are just all theater all the time. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just right
just
now
not
where I'm at in
your
my life,
focus.
not my focus.
Right. And for some of you, do a play. If that's like, if you need some hours in theater and something, there are people that, they're not a lot of you, but there are some of you that I'd be like, yeah, go work that muscle out. But you, Ashley, with your conservatory degree and your years in scene study, do not need to go do another play.
No.
You don't.
No.
That's right.
Yes. So a lot of it is just like, okay, what do you actually want? Do you
Yes.
want to be the lead in a feature? Great. Who are the people that are casting those parts? How can you break it down to a smaller thing? What is the prescription to get to that?
Yeah.
And how do you allow yourself to follow it? Are you watching movies? Are you watching low budget movies? Whatever the thing is to like get you on that path. But for me, it was 100% TV. And that is reflected by that has been the majority of what I have booked since we sat down.
And I want to say about that too, this like scarcity thing. I think it's a little bit of where you know, this, I want to speak a little bit about what you said about worrying that focus will cost you opportunities. I tell people it's actually, it is threading a needle. It's like you have to focus to then thread the needle. But then once you thread the needle, you can sew. It's like the focus allows you this entry point, but then through that entry point, your talent is given a validity and a, just resume-wise, a weight to it that then actually garners you opportunities. So what you think is you have to be able to do all 10 things to then get something, instead of realizing like in focusing on the one thing, then people will recognize that you do stuff. And in the recognizing that you do stuff, they will then bring you other opportunities.
And I can't tell you how many different ways this has affected my life. Backtracking really quickly, I wouldn't even go to, like I got invited to a lot of events, but I made sure that the events that I said yes to were TV related.
Yes.
pre-Emmy nomination parties, the Emmys, like all television, specifically television. And that kept me reminding myself, this is where I belong. This is what I want. This is what I deserve. This is what's happening. Once I booked Grey's Anatomy and it aired, I was having a bunch of like feeling like I wasn't getting enough yoga work.
Yes.
Which is funny.
Yes.
And then I was like, oh God, I'm really dropping the ball with this part of my life. I need to like just make sure I'm constantly comfortable.
Right.
And Grey's Anatomy aired.
Yeah.
A bunch of people saw that
Yes.
and was like, hey, that's my yoga teacher, and all came back to class.
Of course they did.
So you guys.
Work begets work begets work.
Shit is magic.
It is.
If you focus on the thing you really want, the world will take care of you. But if you like let it all be like murky and kind of blurred and you're not really sure about it, then that's what you're getting back.
Yeah. To quote the great Richard Lawson, you have the career you see for yourself and you have the career you don't see for yourself. And like where you were when you came to me a year and a half ago was like you didn't have the career for yourself that I saw for yourself. I want to just recap a couple things and then we'll go to, do you have any questions for me? So you can think while I recap. So here's the journey I want you guys to know about what Ashley had. First of all, she got clear on her casting. She had to make some really hard choices. She had to change her look, disappoint her mother, become a brunette.
She's still disappointed.
She's still
about
so
it.
disappointed about it. And then she had to commit to that look for quite a while. Then that got her to a certain level of progress. And then she sort of hit the roof of that progress and then needed some encouragement and support to get to the next level, which meant leveling up her materials. So she went and she leveled up her materials. Now she, like many of you, had no problem continually getting new headshots that were beautiful, but she needed to go and actually spend that money on getting footage, on going to things like this Women in Film thing, like this weekend thing, to really set herself up. She also was continuing to take control of her finances outside of her acting. She is a yoga teacher. We had talked at length about the value of that and that it is a continual valuable investment if she's using it to continue to fund her career as opposed to letting the yoga community sort of suck her in at the cost of her pursuing her acting. She was able to use the yoga community so that she could invest that money into procuring opportunities and relationships as an actor. So she then did all that, and on top of which continued to get better at her career. When she was putting herself on tape for the lead as Batgirl, she didn't just like willy-nilly decide to tape it. She went and got coached. She did really fantastic work that she is still proud of, can stand behind to say, if I'm going to say, hey, you don't know me, but I want to be the lead of this huge franchise, you better fucking show up to play, right? So she did her work. She continued to push herself outside of her comfort zone, like you might say a yogi does, and do the work regardless of how comfortable or uncomfortable she felt. And then learn once the chips landed, learn from mistakes, add growth and strength where strength already exists. And now she's sitting here in a just imagine, listeners, imagine if in a year and a half, you could have gone from one co-star to multiple television credits, definitely leveled up in representation. I looked at her representation. She has leveled up in representation and setting herself up for another few years to come that could be really powerful and palpable. And why I knew you could do it, Ashley, is because it's exactly what I did. And I tell people like, I didn't do anything that you guys can't do. I went from one co-star to then multiple recurrings, to then a series, to then multiple more television roles. Like I did it.
It's possible.
It's totally possible.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any questions for me?
I do.
Okay.
You know, because it is just the same video game, just a different level.
It is. It's the same video game, but a different level.
So I'm in this position now where I am competing in pilot season, but only with self-tapes.
It's very common right now.
Yes. And I'm finding, you know, I'm auditioning for leads in series on self-tapes. Leads that are going to people whose careers I've been following since I was like, you know.
8, right?
Yeah. So I guess in the vein of like, here's what I'm doing, what am I missing is really the question. I am reading Hollywood Reporter every day.
Deadline.
Yeah. You like Deadline better?
I do.
Okay. We'll switch.
Okay.
Deadline.
Sorry, Kim. I love you.
My manager and I have a really awesome relationship. We're in huge communication about certain parts. I've asked friends who audition for things that I'm not even remotely right for, that aren't even in my world, to just send me pilots so I can be reading stuff.
Right.
So I'm constantly reading pilots. I'm putting myself on tape, I would say, once every other week for a series regular.
Great.
But I'm like, okay, but nothing's happening. It's just so ridiculous because it's March and I booked my last job in December and I hear that.
Yeah.
But this is the world that I'm always going to be in because this is what happens.
Like, I was just talking to one of my dearest friends who, we used to work with, #Bridgie, hey girl. She's really leveled up and has a great resume. And I've been in tandem with her career for such a long time also. And she's, having a breakdown for all the same reasons. And she shot a commercial like 2 weeks ago. She logically knows that like the version of herself like 3 years ago, if she had just booked a commercial 2 weeks ago, that would hold her over for months. She'd be like, months, she's a rock star, right? Correct. Welcome to being an actor.
Yeah. It's a little bit like, I just want to be in the room and like be in that energy, except that I know getting to have that self-tape, I can like play with that for hours. And I'm having so much fun really like working that muscle. It's definitely hitting me as like, okay, well, this is going to sound crazy, but I'm like, am I reaching too high with all these series regular roles? Should I be just auditioning for more guest stars and more recurring? And it's like, is that because we're in pilot season and they're casting the leads right now and I need to like chill my shit until April, May, when they're like filling out the rest of the cast, recurring
they're
and
already
guest stars.
done shooting by May.
That's true.
Yeah, they're all shooting next week. All the pilots.
Oh yes, that's right.
I'll keep going.
So I guess it's just like, are you seeing any gaps in what I'm doing that can keep me on the ball moving in this direction?
I love this question. It's part of why a lot of season 3 is going to be what I'm going to call phase 4, which is actors who have leveled up to series regular and beyond for decades and have made the really unfortunate discovery that nobody cares.
Yeah.
And the shock that no matter how far up this business you go, nobody cares. And I remember Eric Stoltz, I think is what his name, came to the BHP several years ago to do a talk. I actually wasn't there, but I listened to the recording of it.
He directs a bunch of Madam Secretary now.
Yeah. And
love that show.
Yeah. So true.
Oh my God.
And I talked to, and he had done this talk and he had said, I mean, it's when stuff started to go so real that I was like, oh, it's like in a Charlie and Chocolate Factory is like, never knowing which way we are going. And it's like spinning and spinning. And you're like, ah. That's because he was talking about, his own experience and like in, the so-and-so just got this role. And it's because, they score better in China. Oh, I gotta go to China more often and like be on the talk shows in China. And how often he'll get offered a feature opposite somebody who like just won an Oscar and his reps will be like, no, they're done. And he's like, they're done. They won an Oscar last year. And they're like, yeah, no, they're out. And he's like, what do you mean they're out? And it's this like constant, just think, Ashley, of all the people who have won Oscars and Emmys who you haven't seen working. And if they work, you're like, where have you been? Right? Like,
I'm always like, oh, you made a choice to go live your life and have kids and do the thing.
No.
But it's never that.
That's literally not what happened.
It's never that.
It's not what happened. It's that, and still, nobody cares. Cynthia Nixon finished Sex and the City, wrapped, show was done. And the whole cast was on Oprah when the movie came out. Because there was a gap in time between the two. And Cynthia had been working as long as Sarah Jessica Parker had been since she was 7. They were both on Broadway at the same time together.
God, adorable.
And Cynthia Nixon actually was doing 2 Broadway. She was the first actress to do 2 Broadway shows simultaneously because she was a little girl in the first act of one Broadway show. She'd go down the street, get changed, and then be a little girl in the second act of another Broadway show. So like,
she's a boss.
She's a boss-ass bitch, right? She finishes Sex in the City and she thinks like, great, now I'm done. They're all going to call. And she said, nobody called. And Oprah was like, nobody called? And she's like, no, nobody called. Nobody called.
And she's a force of nature.
And so fucking good.
Oh my God, so good.
And obviously has a resume longer than anybody else. She was in 2 Broadway shows at the same time when she was 7, right? Like, I have found personally the most heartbreaking lesson to continue to learn. And I just interviewed Patrick Fabian, who's my opposite on Better Call Saul. He's in his 50s. He has had, he auditioned for Friends, right? Like, that's his career, right? And now he's in his 50s and has the role of a lifetime on the show of a lifetime. And he's really panicked about when it's going to end, like if he's going to work again. That's what I hear from everybody, is that feeling doesn't seem to go away. And we were even talking about how he had said when he's on set on Better Call Saul, he'll see some notification of a contemporary of his who's like just got a series, and he'll say to himself like, well, I want a series. And then he has to like check himself. It's like, oh right, no, I'm literally a series regular
on a series,
like one of the best shows on television right now. And I said the same thing happened to me. I was like shooting Godless, and I was like, on the gram, and I saw somebody who was like, I've just got my series, and I was like, I want a series, and I was like, wait, I'm on set right now. I'm literally shooting my series. Calm down. So that's not a great answer, but it's the answer
super helpful,
honestly, that I have for you. And as far as like what else you can be doing, I want to give you this analogy, which hopefully will be helpful to you. And I think you'll like it because you're competitive. Okay. So with the video game, the further you level up, what happens?
The harder it gets.
Right. Does it become less fun or more fun?
More fun.
Right. In the beginning,
but also more frustrating.
In the beginning, it's frustrating because you feel like I just like got really good. And then you like get in 7 seconds and then you die. Mm-hmm. And then you get in like 13 seconds and then you die. And then
you're just retweaking, recalibrating the whole time.
That's exactly what you're doing. So Jesse tells this story recently about a feature film director, and he's a writer. And the movie was doing really well. Opened wide, went huge. And he was like, oh my God, I'm such a success. Like, finally, it is time for me.
This is the thing.
This is the thing that breaks me in. And so the movie comes out to award season, and it's nominated. And he's like, okay, now I'm nominated, so-and-so. Now is the time. Talks to his reps, and they're like, we're going to get you this opportunity. And he goes and he pitches it, and he thinks like, I'm amazing. And he walks out to tell his reps like, I just crushed it. I'm going to make so much money. I'm going to do this job. And they're like, great. Just so you know, 5 other people working on this. It's a total shit show. No promises. He's like, damn it. So then he wins the Oscar, wins it. And he's like, now is the time. Okay, now I am Oscar winning writer. Boom, I'm in. Goes in, does the pitch for another film, calls his reps. I'm awesome. I'm amazing. And they say, just so you know, and they list off the other 5 people trying to get this writing job. All 5 of them, huge Oscar-winning writing legends.
But how awesome to be in good company.
I guess. Yeah.
I mean, it's right. Like Barton used to say, get the bigger nose.
Get the bigger nose.
Mm-hmm.
What I discovered is...
I'm getting so many big nose right now.
No, I know.
It's exciting.
So many big
nose.
What I discovered is when I thought I thought that getting guest stars was going to get me more guest stars, and guest stars actually just got me more co-stars. And I thought getting a series regular was going to get me more series regulars, and instead it just gets me more guest stars. And then I feel like the people I'm seeing who are getting these series regular opportunities consistently are people who have just won Emmys or Oscars in the past.
They're like straight to offer.
Mm-hmm. Everything I hear is it's straight to offer. The only people that I'm seeing that are auditioning and getting in their rooms are women under 25 who are diverse that I know personally that are actually going into rooms. It's like, who is a diverse female? And I have to agree, like, who are they? Do you know a lot of diverse women under 25 who are actresses? No. So that makes that group a commodity. Mm-hmm. How many women in your casting do you know? Actresses.
In my casting?
Yep. So many.
So many.
It just makes you less of a commodity.
Yeah.
How many of them are famous already?
So many.
So many. It's just, that's all. But I had this discussion with somebody yesterday, like, hard work plus relationships over time. And over time seems like the one that everyone is just unwilling to surrender to, myself included. Mm-hmm. But it is a absolutely essential element. Mm-hmm. Here's what I'd love for you to do. Everything that you're submitted for, I want you to get your submission report from your reps. Everything you're submitted for, I want you to now log that as something you're going to follow. Then I want you to follow it. Watch who booked it. How old are they? What agent are they with? And what does their resume look like? I've done that, and almost all of them are with CAA, UTA, and most of them, to go even further than that, are second generation Hollywood.
Yes. The famous parents.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
Honestly,
yeah.
I surrender to that. Like, I have done my work.
I had a audition for a show that a friend of mine writes on, mm-hmm. who I've known for years. Mm-hmm. And he was so blown away by the Batwoman stuff and my coming out. And he wrote a part for me on the show.
Yeah.
It was a guest star role, possible recurring. Mm-hmm. I killed the audition. He called me to say how grateful he was. And the part went to a child of a famous actor. Yeah. And he was like livid about it. And I was like, dude, how cool that that's the person I lost this part to.
Yeah.
Because like, I mean, sure, I could sit there and be like super tragic about it and like, oh, but it was written for me. It's like, yeah, but network doesn't know that.
Can I talk about the written for me thing? That's a large reason why the writers are upset is because I have friends who have roles written for them and the writers have to fight tooth and nail just to get them seen.
Yeah, that's I've had that happen so many times.
For them, and they have to fight just to get them seen because they don't care. Mm-hmm. They just don't care. And maybe the pendulum will swing in the other direction. I don't know. But at this moment, pilot season is 3 weeks long. It is something I just think you'll feel better, Ashley.
3 months.
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Oh, you don't know that it's 3 weeks long now?
How is it 3 weeks long? Explain.
Because it's a shit show. That's why. Because what happens is the pilots go out and people start really, they start making their lists. And then everyone comes back the first Monday after Sundance.
Right.
Everyone comes back and it is a fight for the same 60 people. Nobody is even auditioning.
Yeah.
Anything you want to plug?
Season 3 of Glow.
Yay. You're going to be on
Episode 2.
Okay. Yay. Super excited.
But you should watch 1 because it's so good.
Yes, of course.
Also, is it Brittany who's on it?
Yeah,
that
Brittany.
was on the podcast? Yeah.
Brittany.
Love Brittany.
She's the best. Yeah.
She's adorable.
I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
I really am really, 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 really proud of you. I'm really inspired by your continuing to work smart, not just hard. I know it takes a lot, but I think it's really great.
It's totally worth it.
Yay. Okay, Yay. You guys, thank you so much. And you guys, don't forget your towel. Next week on Audrey Helps Actors, we're talking commercial contracts, so saddle up. The very charming, very entertaining Katie Von Till is going to be on to talk with us about the contracts. It's going to be a pretty unedited version, so we promise to be quick, concise, to the point, and give you as much information as you need. I don't know anything about it, so I'm just going to have her come and tell me about it, and then I'll ask questions, which I'm going to assume are the questions that you're asking. So, you got to listen to the episode. And once you listen to the episode, I need you going to these meetings, okay? Because it's really important. So check your meetings. Katie's going to give a bunch of information. I'm going to have questions, but you're probably going to have your own questions. Don't email me your SAG commercial contract questions. Go to the meetings and ask them yourself. You will go to those meetings. You will ask them yourself. Special thanks this week to Ashley Platz. Girl, I am so proud of you. Not only is she working so hard, but she's also working really hard in her own right to continue to educate actors, take this movement of being involved in the union, learning about her rights, her payment, her protection, her power, and she is spreading that knowledge outward, and I couldn't be more proud of her for that. She's really such an example of learning, growing, and then sharing that information with others. So love you, girl. Can't wait to hear and follow you on all the rest of your bookings. It's very exciting. You're gonna get that series gonna have your name on it. Gonna find that series for you. This show is produced by Jesse Lumen, my now husband. What's up? You guys, he's still so handsome. This episode is edited by Patricia Cuffie-Jones and Thomas Snodgrass. Also, shout out to Thomas for the mic assistance now and then. It's still good to have your sound guy across the street. Show music is brought to you by Ari De Niro. Theme song assistance is by Aalok Mehta and 108 Hill. All right, you guys, don't forget your towel.